Hello, I guess we're live.
Ooh, hello.
Hello there. I'm gonna see if I can fix my.
Welcome to Counter Charge.
Yeah. So I can't my camera. It is what it is, guys. I'm sorry. We'll just.
I think it's a great view.
Oh, look at no. I'm just like, go ahead. There we go. So tonight we were going to chat a little bit about something it's long overdue. We were going to chat about the survey response that we put out. You know, I don't remember. We were in the mid 60s to 70s of folks that gave us responses. I think in general, maybe let's just start there. I mean, we all had a chance to look at the data. Jeremy, what'd you think? Anything surprise you?
I don't know. It's always nice that people take the time to fill it out. I think the interesting thing was, and we've talked a little, you've seen it now. We have shows coming out on Wednesdays and Sundays. So that was interesting to think about when people would want an episode to come out. I mean, I never would have thought like Wednesday, but people maybe middle of the week, you want something to kind of get you through work or whatever. But that part was cool, I thought.
Yeah. Matt, how about you? Anything jump out at you?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think for us, there wasn't anything overly surprising, right? I think it was mostly what we expected in terms of what people's favorite content seems to be. So yeah, unfortunately, their favorite content is usually the hardest work, right? In terms of the army reviews and things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot
and the longest.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we learned, I think, is it just kind of reaffirmed what we already had inclinations towards, right? That big surprise, army reviews are the favorite, right? That's that's not a big surprise to us. But to your point, Matt, that's also that's like I mean, I enjoy doing it. I really do. In fact, we've got part 2 of the Army Review going up on Wednesday. But God bless them, they're a lot of work because they're usually out, because usually those are the ones that have 3 or 4 people. Yeah. You're having to juggle, and if you get, with the Orc one, I was lucky, unlucky, I don't know. We had it into the North America, but like when you start bringing in a UK or God forbid an Australian guest all at the same time, it's like good luck managing those time zones.
Yeah, and I think, and like you say, it's not even necessarily the editing, right? Because you can just have that on your computer and plug away at it, even if it takes a bit longer. But it's the getting those people together. Like I've been trying to do the Salamander, and I tried to go with a couple of Aussies, and then trying to time them with Ryan Munsell in the US. Things just haven't worked out to be easy. So it's just trying to coordinate people. But and there was a bit of chat about those on the Facebook group about whether we should delay till Clash of Kings. But the reality is because it takes so long. Well, I think it's we may as well just keep going.
Well, by the time we get one, we may not even have recorded it, right? Like, I mean, that's really is potentially, if like I think Trident Realms was the leader. So if I start working on Trident Realms today, it might be late October by the time I'm ready, even ready to record.
Yeah, and the reality is things aren't going to get worse in Clash of Kings. They're only going to get better. It might just bring some of the levels of things up, but otherwise some of the changes we know already, like the changes to conditional inspiring. So, there's some things we know.
Absolutely. I don't think this is going to see a pack where you see like, oh, this is not usable anymore. It's more of maybe these other things that weren't quite as good are now in the decision-making sphere, but I don't think we'll see.
Are you trying to tell me there's not going to be any bitching? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Oh, I don't know. Who knows?
Crap, okay. Look, let's be honest. They may not be bitching about my thing got nerfed, but don't kid yourself. There'll be some envy there. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, well you did this and this and this. Well, why is this, or why are the wingets still blah 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 blah?" Right. So there'll be some. Look, they'll find a way.
Okay. I'm planning a hibernation period for a couple of weeks.
Probably not a bad idea.
Yeah. Go get ready to add this prepare myself for some Christmas pud.
Yeah. Well, let's. I think what we can do is now we could jump in and maybe talk about some of the content. Figure what we do is we go through each of the questions and then we can kind of just summarize the takeaways for us. The first question was, please rank the type of content. And by the way, if you missed our survey, just be on the lookout, man. We do these I would like to say every year, but realistically it's probably every 18 months. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to tie the direction that the podcast is going to what the listeners want. Because at the end of the day, customers win, right? So the first question was, rank the type of content, and we broke it down: event, community, hobby, gaming, industry content, narrative content, and then like behind the scenes stuff like podcasting. And, unsurprisingly, gaming is the king, right? So things like tactics and army reviews. In second place, we had event coverage, so that's, going to tournaments and or how to run tournaments. Third was community, where we have our interviews. And I think that's, it's interesting. List Builder Studio is kind of gaming, but also could kind of be in that community section as well. But club spotlights, listener questions. And then fourth is hobby, which is interesting because I don't know what you guys' thoughts on it. Hobby is really hard to do in a podcast format, right? I know we have some plans for the future, but
I think it's something over time we're going to have to move to this format. Like I think we can. It's easy enough to get people to talk about their hobby, but we can't really do any hobby practice stuff on podcasts.
Can't show people how to paint by just talking about it. It's really, really, really difficult. And then, unsurprisingly, the least favorite things, the behind the scenes stuff, really, there's a very, very small niche that gives a crap about that. Usually those are the people that reach out to me and go, hey, I want to run a podcast. Great. Here's all the, we have all these documentation that tells them how to do it. Or the industry stuff was also not popular. Narrative stuff was not popular, which doesn't really surprise me because I think, again, the narrative thing probably is a small subset of the greater community. But the one that really surprised me was like the media interviews, media where we would get YouTube creators. And I don't know if that's just because we're a conduit to the Gangs of War community, and a lot of people are just, this is a lifestyle game and they don't really care about the greater world. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, I just wonder if, given that we are playing a game that doesn't have a lot of people specifically creating Kings of War content as well, whether that might play into it. So there's no one, there's people that play Kings of War sometimes, like Luke Fellows or whoever. But we're not that big a community where you have a content creator exclusively doing Kings of War.
Right. Makes perfect sense. So I mean, in terms of that, I think a lot of that just reaffirmed what we kind of already knew. We knew that gaming content was king. And so we are trying to up our game. We're trying to get an army review. We realistically, it'd be nice if we can get 6 to 8 army reviews out a year. We'll see. Realistically, there's 4 of us. If we can each do 2 a year, that's 8, right? So, well, let's be honest though. Is Coos really going to get 2 out in a year?
Let's say 3.2.
Well, wait. But maybe if he does Kingdoms of Men and Rory, does that count as 2?
He'll claim it. He'll claim it.
Yeah. Just every year, that's the one army you do. Just once a year, at some point, you're going to do this. And that's it.
I will say, though, I have been looking at our back catalog, and it is kind of pathetic that we, there are 28 armies, and we've been doing this for a very, very long time. And, the big heavy hitters, dwarves, Basilean, elves, they've got content, but, we've never done abyssal dwarves. That seems like a little bit of a miss on our end.
That's been brought up a couple of times, but I think, isn't that just because it's so easy? Because
it doesn't require any skill.
The review is you just point and click.
Yeah.
All right, more mortars.
Hit with your mortars to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I think that's a good point you bring up. Because sometimes also, since they do take so much work, we also do the ones of the armies that we have, right? So isn't that part of it too? Is to do.
I won't do one that I really do not enjoy doing them when I don't play the army. Because
if I don't play the army or it's not on my list of I think I want to make this army, then it's really hard to invest all the hours that it takes to put together one of the army reviews. So I don't know. I'm curious if that has
maybe somebody give me some feedback. Obviously I don't play Forces of Nature, and we did a Forces of Nature review, and I think it was okay. But I'm curious if anybody thought my contribution was not as good as, say, the Ogre one. Well, to be fair, I don't play Orcs either. So it just happens to be that everybody in my community has decided to play Orcs. So all I see is Orc Alpha Strike armies every day, all the time. But yeah.
I don't think we necessarily need to be part of them, though. I think the last one I did, I was more just the creative director,
Yeah.
And
sometimes that's a good thing because you're not like a raving fanboy or the contrary, and so you could kind of maybe keep an eye on forging the narrative, if you will.
And I think also too, when we're trying to do those reviews, we're thinking about someone who could speak to the army, right, in an authoritative or accomplished way, right, who's played it at a high level. But also, we are trying to create a show that's nice to listen to, So we want people who are.
You're speaking to the choir, bro. I'm gonna cut you off. I mean, honestly, people don't know this, but like there are loads of people we'd love to have on, but they just are technologically challenged to the point where it would be impossible for us to, it sounds like they're on a tin can. We've had people in the past on, and if you've never heard them again, there's probably a reason for that, right? Like it was hard. Like they either technological challenges is a big one, but also just look, I'm not going to say any names, but there are people that use the word a lot. And as a personal thing to me, I try to remove filler. Like I try to make our shows dense. And even some of these guys break me. I mean, they literally will break me. 2 or 3 hours in, you're like, okay. I remember one time, I'm not going to say any names, but I took all the person's us out of the episode and I made like this song out of it. So and it was like 2 or 3 minutes, right? Like that doesn't sound like a lot, but yeah, okay. I mean, it adds up. No, but back on target, I think what Jeremy was trying to say is obviously we want people that can play the army at a good level and can coherently speak to it, right? And be able to transmit or pass on their tricks and tactics for those armies. And I think the Orc Army Review, I think it was pretty well received with K2 and Eric. Kyle, Kyle's was kind of, he's Eric's sidekick. But but we have
the Robin to his Batman.
Well, I will say though, it'll be interesting to hear everybody's perspective on part 2 because we did something different this time, which is we just did the army review and it was all in one episode. But then we came back and we spent a lot of time on lists. Like the first episode's all theoretical. Well, I think I would do this and this and this, and this is how I would play it, blah, blah, blah. Here's the tips. But then we said, okay, let's talk at 750, 1,000, 1,500, and kind of worked our way up to 2,300 and just and K2 was kind of the narrative link, if you will. He had concrete lists that we kind of riffed off of. And it'll be interesting to hear people's perspectives on that, if they enjoyed it or not. But so, I don't know. I guess any more content, podcast content discussion there, you think that's a dead horse at this point? I mean, we're going to do more of it as much as we can.
Feedback is always great, right?
Absolutely.
Keep posting in reviews, if you haven't left an iTunes review, leave a review,
That's a good point. Sorry, Jeremy.
Just it really helps us get out there for new listeners. But I think that the feedback of hey, you guys should do this type of episode or whatever. I think that's really the core of a lot of the cool ideas come from the audience. So just keep up doing those.
And I think most of the time we do integrate most of the feedback. Well, the stuff that we're able to do easily. Like I know, Rob, you often get dropped someone slides into your DMs, don't they, with a bit of feedback?
Yeah, they say I just got one from a New Zealander. I'm going to pull it up. Let me share this. His name is...
So could you reach
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Matt, or do you have to take like a real boat?
What was that? To New Zealand?
Yeah, when you want to go to New Zealand, you just hop out your backyard, get in a canoe, and you're there. No.
Oh, mate, for someone that obviously is as fit as me,
don't stop.
I just row over easily. Take me only half an hour.
Good.
Well, you guys know how terrible I am at pronouncing names.
Here we go.
So Matt, look at the chat. You tell me how to pronounce that. Because he's from New Zealand, so obviously you'll be able to pronounce it.
Oh, here we go.
Or, I mean, I forget too, it could be a fake name, but I don't know.
Phil Mestianek.
There you go. So Phil dropped me a note and said, hey, we really, we had a nice little chat. And he basically was like, hey, I'd really like to hear you guys do an episode on Trident Realms. So I said, you know what? That's a great idea. Really what that did was let's put a post up and let's see if other people agree with that, which turned out they did. But then I was able to also point to the Beer Phase podcast, did one just a few years ago. And most of that stuff's probably still relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love getting DMs from, for ideas for shows, suggestions. I also get ones just like, hey, I want to play this army. Do you know a good high level player that could work with me? Sure do. I mean, So if you want me to
Might
put
be
you
one of us.
it won't be one of us. No, it won't be one of us.
It's
No,
like
but,
the Kings of War big brothers. Like your dad's left you and didn't teach you how to play your army. So you go, the mom takes the kid over to Rob, and Rob finds him a big brother.
Well, I've done that like 5 or 6 times now where like even locally, Thompson Billings, who was on the show a few weeks ago, you want to play Salamanders. I'm like, well, who's the best Salamander player in the U.S. I know? Dylan Scribner. I mean, he's kicked my teeth in more than anybody that I can think of. And Dylan worked with him to develop a pretty nasty list. Both Salamanders and Forces of Nature. So, because he plays both armies.
I got my ass kicked by a Forces of Nature army on the weekend. I tell you what, played well. It is a solid army.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next topic, I guess, the next question that we got was, let's go to the next question if I can go to the next one. So we only had 10 questions. Question number 2 was, what's your favorite episode length? And remember when we had our 500 spectacular, we pointed out that with 500 episodes, we averaged about an hour and a half per episode. And it turns out the sweet spot is an hour to an hour and a half. So that's like, we're just going to keep doing that, right? Now, obviously, there's going to be some piece of content.
Yeah.
Army reviews, good luck. Because, we've had some criticism in the past that our army reviews are too long. Here's the thing. For every person that says they're too long, there's 9 people that would disagree with that person. So in terms of weight, like the people like the weight. I think if you want I don't want to call it lighter, but the more succinct army review, direct misfire, it's hard to beat that, right? Like
and remember
in and out, boom.
When Devlin and the guys did the update or the last,
that was
and they did it that way and not doing every unit and coming at it more conceptually. And people were like, you guys got to read every unit.
Right. Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So we tried a more succinct version. It didn't work. So
exactly.
And I think even if you're not going too slowly, it still takes 2.5, 3 hours by the time you get through every entry. The ones I've done, I felt like we're moving at a pretty good pace. And then all of a sudden you're at 3 hours.
Exactly. And there's always stuff and people ask, well, why do you have a second part? Well, there's been a number of reasons. Like we did a dwarf one where it was army review and then hobby review is like part 2. Like there's always something you left on the cutting room floor that you think about it that missed the first part. So you got to come back and like in the Orc one, we ran out of time. Eric had to go to work. So we had to cut the recording short at 2.5 hours and we circled back and talked about lists.
I don't mind releasing it as 2 though. We could do that in the future. That one's pure army review for those people that just really want to tune in and hear about the units, and then part 2 could be the lists. We could do that in the long term.
Well, let's we got one going up Wednesday. Let us know what you think about that format. But I think hour and a half. That's kind of the I think realistically I shoot for an hour. I don't know about you, Jeremy, but it always ends up being an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, you try to do your best, and that's one thing with the army reviews. When we're doing any other sort of content, if you feel that your show is dragging or whatever, you can wrap it up. But when you're doing the army review and you're 2/3 of the way through the army, you have to cover all the units. So it is one of those things where it just is as long as it is. It's a lot harder to control.
Yeah. Now this is the next question is pretty interesting. Basically, we asked when we should release episodes. The actual winner was release it when it's ready. Okay. And we tried to do that in the past. And you just can't do that. Right. Unfortunately, what happens is if you don't have a set schedule, it just throws everything. It means it feels everything
implodes.
Well, it does. It does. Well, everything's rushed. We're like, release. And number one, honestly, things don't get listened to because we put out too much content in a week. So what we've decided to do, we took our cues from the thing and we basically said, okay, we're going to have 2 releases a week, one on Wednesday and a second one. If there's an available, we may have something huge that hits Wednesday and maybe we don't have something for Sunday. I know that's happened a couple times, but if we have a second episode of the week, it'll come on Sunday. And that's our plan. And except for today, most of the time when I post them, they're going to be scheduled to go up the 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, obviously, Jeremy was in charge of today's episode, so it was a little bit later. It was on West Coast time. He had to get up. He had to go to brunch. He had to wine and dine a little bit. So, but it came up a little later.
Keep his new wife happy.
Every time Alex doesn't finish something, someone else has to pick up the slack. So I scheduled, recorded, and edited an episode within 2 days.
You know what? That is true.
So it's funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true. Yeah,
we all know where the blame lies in this scenario.
That's hilarious. But yeah, so we typically schedule these like in advance, and it just automatically goes up. So even before you see it on Facebook, before someone goes in and actually pastes, it's live, it's already up. So really, just check your. I mean, you probably already doing this. Check your RSS feeds, right? Because it's probably already live. I guess the next question we should talk about is episode type. We ask specifically, like, here's some, army review, those kind of things. And the 3 most listened to ones, unsurprising, army review, list builder studio, and the group discussion, which I think they mean like where we take a topic, and we just have 4 or 5 people and we just tear it apart. And sometimes we come to a consensus and have some kind of outcome. Sometimes we just discuss it and we don't really, it never materializes to anything other than just a discussion. And then the least listened to, which is interesting, is event coverage, interviews, and narrative workshop. So, event coverage doesn't surprise me at all, because if I was in Australia and we put out a NashCon episode last week, I don't know, like, if you know the people, then maybe you'll be more obliged or more interested to listen to it. But if you don't know any of the players, right? And I get the event coverage over time, you would get to know them, but like it's different. It's almost like inside baseball at that point. And I can see where people. Were you just drinking a 40, by the way? I was surprised.
No. What?
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, this guy's great. I mean, I have a soda. I'm like, oh man, like, yeah, wild turkey.
Yeah, maybe next time.
But anyways, I was just, so the event coverage thing doesn't really surprise me, because I've heard that like from Jake Cherapika, right? Like, he doesn't really listen to it. I get it. Like, if you're not, especially if it's an event that's in a certain part of the country and you don't really interact with those folks, it's just them telling them how their weekend went, or
like the South.
Well, or the Southeast, right? The South, yeah. So, anyways, does any of that surprise you guys?
Well, I mean, I always like those episodes. Before I was on Countercharge, I always like listening to the event episodes, but maybe that's like the minority. But I mean, I guess when you're releasing so many episodes and you can't listen to everyone, there's going to be ones that you let go by.
And that's what this question was asking them. How often do you listen, right? And I'm sure that's why, Army Review is like, Army Review comes out, we got to listen. Lister Builder Studio has to, and when it's not that they don't care; it's just lower on the list from terms of priority.
The Army Review and the List Builders, they're not like a snapshot of a moment in time. So you can go back and listen to them 3 months later, and they still have all the value. Whereas event coverage is interesting sort of after the fact. But am I going to go listen to an episode from 7 months ago from a tournament? Probably not. So
I do wonder, though, if you listen to an Army Review from 2nd edition.
Yeah,
because they're still up there.
Yeah, maybe they're timeless within the same edition. As long as it's.
Well, I just wonder. Yeah. Because I mean, stampedes aren't a thing anymore, so I'm just wondering, like, if all that talk about, stampedes, or I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but maybe if we wait long enough, our Army Reviews will circle back and old will become new again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, and then we asked about video content, because we are looking at, right? That's true, right? And the whole episode, that if you go back and listen to it, was all about, you take stampedes, you take as many as you can take, and you win, right? So, but then we asked them about video content, and basically what they were looking for, battle reports, which absolutely can do that. A tactics discussion, I cannot do that. I'm terrible King's War player. I mean, I can do a battle report, and it might be what not to do, how not to win. Discussion.
But that's also cool. I mean, because I think what you can do though, Rob, is, so I was thinking of this recently, because when I've been playing a bit more by email on UB with a couple of people internationally and locally, because it just works for me. And so you screenshot your turn at the end of the turn. that would naturally, if we stuck it on a PowerPoint, you'd be able to get two people talking over it. And I'm sure you can look back and see where you made mistakes, right? So there's still value in you doing one, even if you are rubbish.
Absolutely.
We just need, we need Godfather Jeremy, our best performing Masters player.
Gosh. Well, I mean, for me, like what I love about battle reports are they interesting dudes? Are the armies painted? Are they playing? Do they understand the rules on the basic level? So I think that that would be something, because there's still people who are doing Kings of War battle reports, but there isn't that one like doing them every month or every week, or
there's no consistency, right?
Yeah, and they're good quality, but they're just
Michael, it's fine. Sorry, nothing's changed. She still doesn't have hair. We're good.
Oops. So I think, and I think that regularity thing for a lot of people too, in terms of not being able to produce it, is again, if you want to do a live one, then you got to edit it. I think it's just that effort thing, right?
Oh, it's just a lot of work to do it, and then also you need to, if you only own one army, you know what I mean. You need to. It's harder unless you have someone coming in all the time. They'll get the army diversity and stuff like that. And as we know, like anything, you're editing content. It takes a long time.
And if you're doing video,
yeah.
Rob, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Your filler song, would we be able to tell who the ums are from?
Yeah.
All right, so you can't release it, otherwise everyone will know.
I would, but yeah, no, I can't.
We need a record. The I don't know, like, what's your band name of all the songs you guys have done? The parody songs.
Oh, the Hinder Charge stuff and we don't really have, and that's something we haven't done in a long time. And for new listeners, they probably haven't heard it.
God, there was one that was my favorite, but I don't know if I can talk about it because I don't think it was. I think it's
the one that was unreleased. We've got a couple deep cuts that were. Let me be honest. So like we try to be above board with our charge, and there was one that was hitting a little too far down below the belt, and so we chose not to release it.
It's just sort of timely over the last few months.
Yeah. Now, but wait, did you guys listen to the Jeff O'Neill interview?
No, I haven't yet. No.
I listened to the first part, but
there's a moment where I just basically tell him, I said because he was talking about Sean. And then we there's basically this little dig I get. I love getting digs on people, and I get a little dig about Sean cheating, and there's a little back and forth. I said, well, you must not have been at NashCon 2016, and there's a whole song about that that we didn't. People pointed fingers at each other, saying they were cheating, they weren't cheating. That was my first TOing of Kings of War 2, by the way, so it was a great first experience. Loved having to deal with that. Anyways. Or where are we at? Matt, you derailed it. But yeah, Hindered Charge is Chris Cox, right? Is the host of Hindered Charge. And then is it Jimmy Swallows is his sidekick, right? Have you heard any of this stuff, Matt?
No.
Oh man, no. It's hilarious.
I don't know if I can.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's still in our Dropbox though.
I was just thinking I might be able to drop some of these in. I mean, I have them on my desktop. I mean, surely I could just play one of these.
Yeah, as long as it's not the unreleased one.
Well, yeah, that one's a little bit of a.
But I thought that one was the best, like, sounding one. Like,
well, that was the one. No, the one that's unreleased is like a scratch. It's not even done. It's like
then I'm thinking of another one then that I thought you did, but didn't end up not coming out.
We're thinking of the one where it's Tom Petty.
Yes,
that's not done. Yeah.
Oh, that one was.
Yeah, that's not done. That's
my favorite.
Yeah. So we've done. I'm just looking at my list here. We've done Billy's Dwarves, which is a take on Jesse's Girl, which is really funny. Everybody Takes Two, which is it was a shot against the people taking the Fallen back in second. You know, when they were like, oh my God, all kinds of you take a bunch, and that's a Billy Squier song. It's right, and that's right. I don't know what the original song is, but yeah, it's a Billy Squier song. And then we did Skilla-Dan King, which is a song about ABC. Maybe Look of Love. I don't know, one of their songs. And then we did You Might Think by the Cars in another version You might, yeah. And then we have a fifth one that never came out, but we'll have to finish it. They're pretty funny from time to time. They're, you know.
Yeah, I don't think any of the ones that I could think of immediately making up, I don't think they'd be fit for release.
Mm-hmm.
Well, true. It is true that it takes, first of all.
Well, that's the one thing that is lacking, right? You don't have an epic rap rivalry going on. So you guys need to start rapping.
That is interesting, though. I'm going to open up this Hinder Charge file and see what we got. It's been a while. I mean, and you know what? I have to get Chris on the horn again and see if I can get Jimmy to join us, because it's been a while since we've gotten them on. Oh yeah, I've got like 3 or 4 episodes worth. Yeah, let's see if I can. How do I play something here, man? Let's see. Stop cam. I guess maybe if I share my screen, will it just?
You might have to. Will it pick up the audio though?
I don't know. Let's find out. If I share,
we're doing it live.
Video file. No, I want to share a screen. I don't know. We're gonna try this. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, let us know. Because wait. I just didn't click a button. It said share audio system. That might be it. Share audio system. Share. Hit here. Share. All right. Let's see if this works. Can you guys let me know if you can hear this?
Hey, you Counter Charge listeners.
Can you guys hear that?
Enough's enough. And we're taking over this podcast. Welcome to the Hinder Charge. It's like that. All right. Welcome to the Hinder Charge, the #1 Kings of War podcast for power gamers by power gamers. I'm your host, Chris Cox.
And I'm Jim Swallows.
And we're sick and tired of all this talk about hobby and fluff and all this crazy nonsense over here on Counter Charge. What do you think? I think we need more power gamer content, because I'm sick and tired of listening to people painting their models. That's ridiculous.
I only own 1 pot of paint, and it's a can of primer. So, I mean, yeah, we need to get away from that. And let's talk about the game a bit.
Absolutely. So for our inaugural episode of the Hinder Charge, we're going to talk about starting Kings of War as a power gamer.
Okay.
So let's dive in. If you're a power gamer looking into getting into Kings of War, you're in luck. We have an excellent tournament scene here in the U.S., particularly in the South and Southeast. A lot of, they're kind of schmucks. Plus, there are tons of these hobby gamers, whatever that is. Sounds like an excuse to just be a terrible player. But there are a few great things for power gamers in Kings of War. Jimmy, why don't you take over?
Okay, well, let's see. First thing, casino dice. If you're not using casino dice, what are you doing? Casino dice are reg. That's what you need to use. Chessex, rounded edges. Stop being a fluff bunny. Grab some casino dice.
That's right. And even if you are going to use those Chessex dice, make sure you mix up some of your 1s and 6s with the symbols on it, just to keep you a little bit, can kind of get you an edge.
That's a bit too real at the moment.
I think we had somebody listen to it.
Remember to always pick up your hits, because you can kind of sneak in 1 or 2 of the extras, and they're never going to know.
Another good tip. Lasers. Let's talk about lasers for a minute.
Got to get a friggin' laser. You go down to Harbor Freight, pay whatever, $15. I don't know how much they cost. I just steal them from my opponents when they're not.
Well, you're sponsored, aren't you?
Oh, yes. I am sponsored by Harbor Freight lasers. Exceptional base size? You mean giving people more flanks and making your units less maneuverable, am I right?
That's right. And if you sand your bases a little bit, take off a few millimeters, that's just expected.
No one's going to notice.
I mean, we're trying to win here.
I mean, I think exceptional base size should go the other way. If I want to put my dragon on a 20 millimeter base, how are they going to tell me not to do it? You know, that's hobby.
Really tall rock, put a pin in him.
Done.
It's done.
Yeah, you just, make the dragon out of foam or something, and the base out of like lead. It won't tip over.
Cardboard wings. All right, what else we got?
All right, you make sure that you can slow play. If you're not using clocks, you take as long as you possibly can on your friggin' turn, because what you want to do is set up an optimal situation where you're winning the scenario, and then the TO calls time, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, buddy, you can't do your last.
That happens.
All right, well, other than that, there are also some really cool hobbying things you can do as a power gamer. Now, coming from, a War Machine background, we don't like to paint our miniatures.
No.
But there are a few things you can kind of skirt the edges and still, do all right. So first thing, minimum model count. You just have to paint less models. It's amazing. Thank you, Mantic, for making minimum model count.
It's a beautiful thing.
And for those of you that don't know, that's when you make a troop of guys and you put 6 dudes on there instead of 10. It's friggin' amazing. So, potentially, you could have very, very few models to have to paint.
I love it.
Also, use confusing miniatures. Night Stalker players, I'm looking at you. Make sure you put a big monster on a horde or whatever base and call it something nobody knows. Your opponent's gonna have to ask you 1,500 times. What is that? Oh, I don't know. Specters. But
you only really have to tell them what it is one time. After that, if they're not listening to you, that's their problem.
That's their responsibility to listen to what your thing is. All right. Now, unfortunately, Mantic did this thing where they balanced the armies, and so net listing isn't as big of a thing, but you can still squeeze all the cheese you possibly can out of every single list. Cramming dragons in their flyers, whatever you got to do. Well, Swallows, you got anything else you want to say over here? I think that's going to wrap it up for our Power Gamers introduction to Kings of War.
Okay, well, just a quick hobby tip. If you're thinking of getting into dwarves, go outside, pick up a couple of rocks. You've got some little obsidian golems right there.
Brilliant. I freaking love it.
Just dry brush that.
Don't even have to dry brush.
We're getting too hobby right now. We should probably wrap this up before
they're already painted like rocks. That they were made that way outside.
We don't want to turn into countercharge or something. So
absolutely not. All right, signing off. It's like that.
Yes.
I actually do remember. Do remember that there was Didn't they used to do about running 4 dragons?
Yeah, we'll have to share that. We'll have to break it up and share it over the next few. Yeah, we certainly can. They have a Basilean list, I think.
Yeah.
The 4 dragon, the 4 local list, right? So
4 locals list. Yeah.
Yeah, the 4 locals
list.
Yeah. Yeah. So Adrian was asking. Let's show that one. So Adrian was asking, "What are you guys listening to?" So I don't know which one of you knuckleheads got us onto it, but basically, the Hinder Charge is a power gamer show for Countercharge that we had on Countercharge. Some power gamers that we got on, and they're the worst people in the world. I mean,
they suck. They're really bad.
They're terrible sports. They're terrible painters.
They're just not good people.
No, they're not good people. So,
especially that Jimmy Swallows.
Yeah. Or he said Jim Swallows. So I don't. Maybe he's dropped the Jimmy part. I don't know.
He grew up.
Maybe. But it's funny. Maybe I'll have to reach out to Chris and see if Chris Cox, if he's available to join us and learn.
I've never wanted to punch someone in the face like I have Chris Cox.
Really?
Yeah. I'll just let it go. To be too long to explain.
Oh, well, I'm intrigued how Mr. Peace and Love can want to punch someone in the face.
He knows what happened.
Oh, you've got a choice now, Jeremy. You can either tell us that story or you can tell us what your secret army is.
Oh, I have a better than tell. We're on video. I can show. So I'll go get something to show you guys.
So, and while I was getting it, Matt, one thing I'm struggling with right now is I have to paint models for my army because I have an event coming up and I need some new units. But I have no incentive to paint models because I'm scared of painting the wrong thing. Should I paint some fanatics? Should I paint some more pike?
Yeah, as in because of Clash of Kings.
Because the Clash of Kings coming up in just a couple of months down.
I think that kind of goes back to our point, though. Nothing's getting worse, right? So I don't think you're going to paint the wrong thing, and I don't think, new things might stand out, but I completely agree. I mean, it's been really hard having been on the play testing now. Kind of, I don't have much desire to play non-Clash of Kings rules, but I am. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I can understand that for sure, but I don't think you're going to make a wrong choice regardless.
He says that now, Jeremy. I'm going to hold it against him if I do.
What? I missed. What are you talking about?
I was just saying that I need to paint more units I need more core units for my Kingdoms of Men army because I have a tournament coming up. And, I'm like, do I paint pike? Do I paint another horde of pike? Do I paint fanatics? Do I paint militia mobs? And it's just like,
well, I can actually help you there. Didn't I tell you Kingdoms of Men aren't getting anything?
Oh, well, that does help. That does help. Yeah. Except for that. That's very nice. Okay, so it's a base. That doesn't help us at all. It doesn't tell us anything about the army.
Put Jeremy on the screen on his own for a minute so we can see it bigger. Jeremy, bring it back.
Oh.
We're going to make you bigger.
Hang on. Let's see. There we go.
There we go. Oh, yeah. That's nice. So what army is that for?
My secret project.
So let me ask you. So it's Broken Ruins?
Yeah, it's like the.
Did your army break it, or was your army defending it?
So it's like the roller, one of the green stuff world rollers.
You didn't answer my question though.
Mosaic.
Is your army the ones defending the temple? Yeah, it was destroyed under their feet.
Yeah. So the idea is.
So they did a terrible job.
No, the idea is, what if, like in the Odyssey, Odysseus, or like I think of like Scott Holcomb's pirate army. Like, let's say Scott Holcomb's pirate army is traveling through a mist, and they land on some island. And it's like, imagine a Greek, like if the Aegean had fantasy elements and Odysseus landed on a fantasy themed evil army of Greek fantasy things. That's my thing.
And so what's the army? Look at his face.
Oh,
look at him going red.
He must be really good at like poker.
Here he goes.
I heard it's only good with poker.
I'm almost. This is my first unit, which is almost. Which you guys should be shocked that I'm already painting in batches. So my first 2 units, which are both this large infantry regiment. These will be finished soon, and then I will display.
Did you listen to the NashCon episode, Jeremy? Where you were called out for being the slowest painter in the world?
Oh yeah, from the shirtless, the
shirtless wonder,
the shirtless wonder.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's factually correct.
That's right.
I mean,
Adrian, that's a good way to do it, right? Just paint what's terrible, because theoretically they're going to get better.
Yeah,
stuff, especially if you don't already have it. It's a good incentive to go ahead and paint.
It's just good to paint units your army doesn't have anyway, because you never know. So just from like collection standpoint, it's always good to be building, have some options, because I'm always not that. I always have like my 2,000 points and that's all I have, and it's always so frustrating. So I always envy the guys who just add to their arm, who just love one faction, they collect it.
Yeah.
So if we guessed the army, would you tell us?
My face probably would. So I'm going to go like this.
Well, we know it's not a good army, because why would he play another good army?
Yeah, no, it's an evil.
Yeah, because I mean, it's got to be good. It can't be good because he played Basilean. So
It's
but
evil.
you know what? I what figure? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let's ask Rob questions.
So what figure range is Rob using? So I am using it's called the Kingdoms of Halfmen, and I'm actually using Westphalian miniature halfmen, and I will put a link in to the I have a bunch of articles on -28 about the army.
Just so you know, too, for Michael there with his profile photo, it takes a hell of a lot of airbrushing to make him look even that good. So that's probably taken him 3 days of work on the image adjuster, I reckon, for his computer.
Yeah, that's funny.
Did you have video for us, Jeremy?
For what?
Weren't you going to get something to? Oh, right. I thought you were showing us. Oh, right. You were showing the base. I thought you were going to show us video evidence of what you hate Chris Cox for.
Oh no. I don't keep that at my residence. That's at the bank. That's in a safety deposit box. My lawyer knows where to send that if something ever happens to me. Let's move on.
So I posted the link to the articles. There's like 4 or 5 articles about the army. And I guess I can just show people it's here. So if you just go to -28 and you just do a search for my last name, a whole bunch of articles will pop up. Yeah. Oh yeah. Back. This is pre-COVID, my friend, and this is post-COVID. So this could be you.
Did I send you, Rob? Did I send you that? I think I put it up in Kings of War Australia, which I think Jeremy you're part of, but Rob you're not. My daughter dancing to the Direct Misfire intro song.
Oh
so,
no!
We've got to lift our game. We've got to lift our game.
For sure.
We do need a song.
We need a theme song. Actually, so we've got
Whatever happened to the new
okay, yeah, so I was just gonna talk about it.
Okay.
So we got some people here. Tell us what you think. So we have this guy in a world, like the movie guy, right? What if we had Optimus Prime do our intro? That's what I was thinking. I think it'd be amazing. These guys are like they're shitting on me, but I'm like, you guys tell us what do you think?
I was stunned. I was on board.
Yeah.
And so what? Is Optimus Prime on Fiverr, is he?
He is. It turns out he is. And it turns out he's not that expensive. just got to give them a couple Energon cubes. You're good.
Yeah, you're good to go.
You know, just tell them where those dirty Decepticons are hiding.
In Minigom? No.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, the army is up there, and I've probably got 2,300 points painted, but I don't have enough of the dirty parts yet. Like I only have one mounted dude on a Griffin. You know, you need like the wizards on a Pegasus. Or I don't have any archers painted. Well, I have a troop, but you know, to really be the Dirty Kingdoms men list, you need the more shooting elements. I only have 3 war engines. So, yeah.
For now.
Well, you know, I will say playing goblins is kind of. I've sullied myself now to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't care about self-respect anymore at this point.
Yeah, you've had to up the amount of showers per day, haven't you?
Yes, I'm up to like 3 because I'm like, you know, because well, you know what it was is, you know, we've got these guys playing these really tough lists. We have a lot of tough players in Memphis and playing goblins, and they're like, you know, they're giving me the shtick about war engines. Well, I'm like, well, what do you want me to do against all defense 6, bro? What would you like me to do? Hit you with my luggets? I mean, come on, they're crushing 1. So no, yeah, you're gonna get 9 war engines. That's what you're gonna get. No, but it's been fun. It's been fun playing. The goblins. I bought a bunch of salamanders though. So
of course you did.
4 boxes of rhinosaurs. They're pretty nice models. But I've got to finish my Kingdoms of Men list. That's why.
Have you got one there? Have you got one unboxed?
I can get it.
Yeah.
You just chat for a second. I can get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk amongst yourselves, he says.
I like his chaos shield in the background. I imagine, like when he goes to cosplay, he just gets that shield off. It's like, don't piss him off enough to where he gets the shield off the wall. Yeah. And it's like, get my blade.
Yeah, but if it was true cosplay, like he'd have that, but some really skimpy outfit, right?
Yeah, and a link to his OnlyFans. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Oh. Do you have a countercharge bandana?
No.
Oh, we should get you one.
Yeah, I ripped up a story for another day, but I took one of my old countercharge shirts and like I cut it up and was trying to like make a headband out of it, and it didn't work.
I'm gonna get you one for Christmas.
Ooh, please do. I have this
Yep.
one. I have the Hawaiian one now.
Yep.
And I need a countercharge one.
I'll send it to you with the special video.
Countercharge head. I put it on and then you show me where it's been before I put it on. See? I knew where you were going.
All right, so this box hasn't even been open yet. So let me.
Okay. Yep. That's what I thought.
That's funny.
Polish
That's
those
awesome.
babies up with something else.
So this is the Rhinosaur Cavalry box. My store charged
What
me.
is it? Is it 3? Does it come with?
It's 3, and it's 45 on the price. Ooh, what happened? We losing people?
No, I tried to make you big.
Oh, just click on. There you go. Just click on me.
Ooh. I don't know what I just did.
Oh, hang on. Just want to go. Boop. Like that. You just drag me over. All right, so I got this thing. Yeah, it's 3 Rhinosaur Cavalry. It's basically 3 different riders, and I think there's command options. So, what do you guys think about this packaging? Packaging engineer by trade. So this kind of like, yeah, guys, come on.
It's never been their strong point.
No, but I will say this is better than the VCR boxes.
Then so it's a step in the right
And
direction.
I have about 50 of these now downstairs in the garage.
Yeah.
You know, with those
So
sorted
what would
stuff.
you? I guess what would you want to see instead?
Probably a clam, like a custom clam, like just remember GW? They had a regiment box or a monster box. They had that same clamshell that would hold all the parts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's good in the sense that
It's not just
resin.
there. Yeah. And it's
hey,
not
by the
just-
way, so I left an army from Wednesday in my car. Turns out those PVC werewolves don't like the heat.
Oh, really? It got
He's
that
like,
hot.
he's like doing a face plant.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, whoa! I had never seen that before.
That.
Yeah. Well, I was like, they're not resin. Surely, nope. He's got little bitty ankles.
Just model him licking a puddle on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know I'm not gonna do anything with him. I'm not gonna fix it. So yeah, this here. I'll start with the Rhinosaur Cavalry itself. The riders are cool. You know, I still, we get that criticism a lot. No instructions. I will say with the resin kits, they've got things on the sprues to tell you which goes with what. At least I think R5, 2. But yeah, these Rhinosaur, man, they're some thick. This is thick cavalry right here. This is some thick.
Yeah,
cavalry.
they're pretty heavy because they're solid resin, right? They're not.
Yeah. So I mean, you can. I don't know how good you can see this, but wait, yeah, on the right spot right here. Can you see that?
Yep.
That's just that's like his body with 2 of the legs missing. So it looks like, yeah. So there's 3 different poses. So there's 3 different bodies, and they're all different. So that's cool. And then in terms of the riders themselves, doesn't really look like you have any options for. Let's see, where's the other body here? Okay, so it looks like. No, I guess so. There's 2 bodies that look very similar. Actually, there's a few bodies that look pretty similar, but I can't really tell. But they look slightly different. Just it almost looks like they. Oops, sorry. It almost looks like they took the pose. I'll just probably put my hand behind them, make it a little easier. But it almost looks like they took the pose and just maybe digitally like turned it a little bit. So even though it looks like it may have started off as the same sculpt, they've just adjusted a little bit. So it looks like there's three rider bodies with a giant. They all have these giant spear hands or arms.
I mean, the fact that they've just gone even a little different is a step in the right direction, right?
Absolutely. Well, you got 3 different mounts, so that's a big thing because I bought 4 boxes thinking, if I do like 4 or 5 on a horde, the fact that I can mix and match and I can probably. So the trick is you've got 3 different mounts and 3 different riders. So do them one way, and then on the next 3, make sure you put different mounts on the different bodies of the rider, the mounts, different riders. So like if you got this same sculpt, this same rhino, make sure he's got 2 different riders on him. And that by itself will be just enough where your eye won't, it'll look like 6 different sculpts, even though they're not really 6 different sculpts. So these are pretty great. The flashing is minimal. One thing I have noticed on a few of the ogres, like there's been some that I've gotten where obviously the resin mixture wasn't right, and it was almost like a scaling, like it was slimy or like it was sticky, like there was something wrong with the resin itself. But these are like, nope, nothing wrong with these. These are crisp, super, and I keep doing that down here. Sorry, but super detailed. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm also excited about the fact that how much is a horde of Rhino Cavalry?
As in points wise?
Yeah.
High 200s, isn't it?
Yeah. So like that's gonna be like 4 models, baby, and I got 200 points. It's like 50 points a model, baby. Yeah. That's that right there. That's army in a weekend type stuff, man.
Yep.
Yeah, let's look that up actually. How much are they? Salamanders could create.
So yeah,
rhinos? Yeah, 250 for a horde.
So that's good. That's on par with ogres, right? But I think these are much chunkier than ogres, and I think people would give you a lot less shtick about only having 4 or 5 of these guys on here because these guys are ginormous, right?
You won't need much of a multi-base to make that look well fleshed out.
Exactly. What I got to figure out is what I want to do for the multi-base. That's so I'm a person that likes to prepare. So what I mean by that is like I'm not going to do anything until I know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to do this with the multi-base. With the goblins, I just bought a bunch of stuff and then figured it out later, and that just took way too much work. And it was a lot of mad scientist trial and tribulation. So this one, and this is a lot more expensive. Well, it's not really because I'm buying a lot less. Luggets, when you buy your 8, I guess at one point, once you buy your like 8 or 9, 10th box of luggets.
Who cares at that point? It doesn't matter.
At that point, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it might as well.
At that point, you're just going.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, I tell myself that I'm supporting my local store. So, and for those that are listening that don't have a local store, counter charge. as a discount for
I think
you.
when I spent like $300 on my Shibor shield order for my Basilean army, I was like, at this point, it doesn't. If you're paying that just for your shield, forget about it.
Well, I was thinking about like my Kingdoms of Halfman. I have probably dumped $700 or $800 into models at some point. So like I had and we all have those albatrosses. Matt's got his. So I literally could fund. Well, let me back up. I have literally already funded someone else's Halfman army a while ago, League of Rhodia. And then, so what happened is I had all these models. I'm like, well, I'm not going to use them right away. So basically, a local player, I said, we'll take them, paint them, whatever, and we'll work out details later. Maybe a year into it, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do Kingdoms of Halfmen. So then I had to rebuy a lot of them. I was like, dang it. So, yeah. So the latest purchase was literally like $100, and it was 100 miniatures. So $1 a miniature, dude. Come on, you can't beat it. So, and my, I think I mentioned last week my struggle. I haven't still even tried it paint wise. I'm still nervous about painting those cultists. I just. They look like the Ku Klux Klan, man. I mean, the robes and everything. So what I got to make sure is there's one guy with like a book and like these like entrails and stuff. I got to make sure he's out front to like make it obvious that this is like not real. It's fantasy, right? Like at least we hope it's Yeah, like, and I'll probably do teal robes. I'm not sure yet. I don't really want to do auburn robes. I think that would because that's like a spot color. And that would be a lot of work.
I think if they're not white robes, you'll be right.
And I think your teal is so good, Rob, and that's something I can't think of as ever seeing like a monked unit, but with that color. So I think you should do it. That would look great, I think.
Cool. Well, I'll give it a shot. I also thought I could do teal. That maybe the hood's a different color. Kind of like who's that? The red hood. That's one of those superheroes, right? Villains, I think. The red hood. I don't know. I'm just talking about butt.
A Batman villain.
Yeah. So we're coming up on time. Matt, what have you been working on? We've been, me and Jeremy have been chatting the whole night. What, where are we going to see some hobby out of you?
I did a post the other day with some hobby pics.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah.
That's
coming
along really well.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm working on 4 Dragon Riders, which will be my Aloe proxies when I'm using them as Basileia.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Yeah. No, you go.
I was going to say, you got me thinking, something I mentioned, and maybe we can ask the audience. We talked about maybe doing some kind of painting competition among the hosts. But like do it in a cool way where maybe like I paint something for Alex or you know what I mean? Like, like it's not really a competition. Come on.
No, we should all paint something for someone else on the show. That would be cool.
Right.
Or we could paint something for the audience.
Ooh. Or should we all paint the same model and have them judge it?
We could do that.
That'd be fun. And then we can like raffle them off.
Mm-hmm.
What would we paint though?
So I think it'd have to be a character model so that someone can slot it into their army if they want. And what would be cool, or do we get someone to 3D print us?
A model? Yeah. Well, you bring up a good point too. Would we? Do we have some kind of competition?
Tell us.
Yeah, because another idea would be have the audience like we do some kind of competition, painting, whatever. They pick the winner, and whoever wins it from the audience, we could paint them. That winner could paint them a model for their army because that's always something that I never really liked.
Should we? What if we? I like the idea too of like maybe all of us make a hobby resolution. So each of us have a certain amount of time to do something.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we show our results of whatever that is.
Don't we do that at the start of the year?
Oh, I like where Michael Geld's head's at.
Oh, Chimera head each is one of you guys.
Chimera head, right? So each one of us is you guys. Anybody own a Chimera?
I pre-ordered the Osmira from Creature Caster. Did you see that?
I have not. Why don't you bring it up?
Ooh, okay.
What's it called?
So I always wanted to get the Bane. What's it called? Bane Beasts from Maelstrom. No, it's not Maelstrom. It's the other company.
So did you see the from Mercer?
Mercer, thank you.
Did you see the Canuck mirror that Creature Caster did?
Canuck mirror?
Yeah, so the Canuck mirror was a chimera of Canadian animals. And then this is the Australian version. Which
we have to do this, don't we?
Where's it gone?
Is that like a koala, an evil koala bear head?
Yeah, it totally is.
You gonna share your
go.
screen? Share your
Here we
screen,
go.
Matt. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
So this is the concept art.
So evil koala. That's
Evil
a kangaroo.
koala, evil kangaroo. That's called a cassowary. They're pretty vicious. And it's got a pouch, some thick legs, a kangaroo tail. Yeah.
That looks awesome.
Now, what's the Canadian one? Or that's the Canadian one.
Oh no. This is the Australian one.
Okay. That's funny.
No, so the Canadian one's out. I think Alex has one. Yeah, here's some painted shots. So like
a
a
moose
beaver
and a beaver. What's the other one?
What is that down there? Looks like some sort of duck head.
Is that a Canadian goose?
Yeah, it might be a Canadian goose. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get this, man.
Mm.
He's got wings too. He could fly. I could put a halfling on the back.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Well,
Oh
that
my
one's
God.
that one scares me more than the other one.
Oh yeah, the Australian one's not very scary.
I mean, it's conventionally scary. That Canuck one is just like, why is there like a beaver in his belly?
Oh, good. God bless him. Yeah. So I guess that's a question for the audience. What should we paint? I think we've done. It'd be fun. Whether that's should we paint something for the other people on the show? Like, should we draw our names out of a hat and like I paint Matt's army battle standard bear? I don't know. I'm just making this up.
Well, yeah. The only problem will be is whoever gets Coos painting for them.
We've been down that road before.
2026.
Yeah, we've been down. Well, if they get it right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait. We're saying that, and this guy over here to the right. I mean, come on, Jeremy. I mean, he's a slow painter too. So.
Yeah, true. But if Jeremy
He's not
says
a
the
no-painter.
timeline, he delivers. He delivers.
True. If you give him 3 years, it's going to happen.
Can't wait till we hear about this new army.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go paint it right after.
You know what's funny is one of the reasons why he's keeping it under wraps. It's good because it's like a fake girlfriend. It doesn't exist until it exists, right? Like you know what I mean? Like just
my army lives in Niagara Falls,
right?
okay?
And then all of a sudden he's like, boom, here it is. I told you she was on vacation in Canada.
Yeah.
Look how that's not honeymoon glow anymore. Look how red he's going. Yeah, look at him. I love how he goes red when he's trying to keep a secret.
Oh,
that's
man.
my boy. You're my boy, Blue.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You're my boy.
Well, yeah, we should definitely. We would love to. Maybe Matt. Somebody put a post up on the Counter page.
Sure.
About give us some suggestions on what we could do for like a painting competition among the hosts, or even if it's not just the host, if we wanted to, bring more than that in. I mean, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. Well, Billy ran ran the Christmas one?
Billy Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where everyone had to send to whoever was in it.
Uh-huh.
A random model.
The secret Santa.
Mm-hmm. But I have like a ton of models I would love to just paint just because. So
well, sweet man. Paint me an army, send it here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you $0.
I said models. I said models, bro. I didn't say actually.
Does he look like child labor? Matt,
yeah.
No, he doesn't. Here's
Keep
the thing.
I
I made an attempt this weekend to like clean up a little bit and sort stuff out, and it just made me more depressed. Like, just pulled out stuff, and I'm like, here's a Night Stalker army that needs to be painted. Here's a Goblin army that needs to be painted. Here's Ratkin, Northern Alliance. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I have too much stuff, man. To the point where Michael Horner, who owns War Room Hobbies, was like, hey, Rob, I'm going to do a Varnger army, and you wouldn't happen to have
and you're like,
blood letters, would you? Like, blood letters, how many do you need, bro? Here's 2 boxes. You need some blood crushers for that? So, yeah.
Actually, that reminds me, Jeremy, my mate, he said, the kids are really struggling with lockdown here. So I went, that sounds like they need more work to do.
Keep them artistically satisfied, exploring, their
Have you got enough plastic and super glue?
Oh, man.
All right. Well, should we call it?
Okay,
we can
fellas.
call it. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, fun as always.
We'll share some more hinder charge stuff since you
Yeah.
guys brought it up. We'll share some more hinder charge with you guys on the next one, and maybe at some point we might just we've had hinder charge episodes in the past.
Yeah.
We could probably repost some of those, not part of.
Oh, maybe
distribution.
they'll come out of hiding and no longer be the cowards that I know them to be. So,
Well, you should call him out. He's had a lot of tournaments, especially down here in the Southeast.
There's a plan.
There's a plan. You know, it'd be awesome if you called him out for Living Legends first round. Then you guys might actually win of something.
Well, oh, don't even get me started.
Yeah. All right.
That's a dig. He didn't get it. It went right over him.
I understand all.
Well, all right, gentlemen. It's been fun.
Okay, see you, fellas.
Okay. Until next time, keep countercharging.
Awesome.